Hi everyone. In this experiment we're taking a microscale look at acid-base indicators. You can find the instructions on the CERC website, but in brief you'll need a few indicators, a series of solutions of differing pH and the printed experiment sheet, like the one you can see here. This needs to be put into a poly pocket, like I've done. It is usually easier to set out the reagent bottles in line with the relevant rows and columns before you start, the different pH solutions along the top and the indicators down the side. For the water, and a couple of other things, I'm using these little plastic shot glasses, which are ideal, but you can use anything. So I've got one of these with tap water in at the top. I've also got two with plant indicator solutions in. This one has red cabbage juice and this one has cranberry juice, just from a carton. And I also have an empty bijou for making up the universal indicator. Now before we start, a little bit about using Pasteur pipettes. If you have enough you don't need to rinse them, but it is useful to know how to. So here I have a couple of cups for rinsing the pipettes. It's very simple. Take your dirty pipette, squeeze it to empty and then suck up water from the water cup. Then you squirt it out into your empty waste cup. If you squirt it back into the water then you will have contaminated your water. You can repeat this a few times to make sure it's properly rinsed. Anyway, on with the experiment. You can add these in any order, but I'm starting with the hydrochloric acid, and I'm going to add 4 drops of acid into each of the circles in the first column, A1 to F1. The amount doesn't really matter, 4 or 5 drops is plenty. Now we go on to the pH 4 buffer and put 4 drops in each circle in the next column. Then the water, then the pH 9.2 buffer, and finally the sodium hydroxide. Now we're ready to test our indicators. You only need 1 or 2 drops of each. We'll start off with the bromethymol blue. You can see that it's yellow in acid and blue in alkali. The green in neutral is hidden behind the cup, I'm afraid. Now the methyl orange. This is red in acid and yellow in alkali, but you can see that the change is happening at around pH 4 this time rather than pH 7. The phenolphthalein is colourless in acid, and this one starts to change at around pH 9 and is bright pink in alkali. So this shows that different indicators change colour at different pH values. Now we'll try the red cabbage. This one is red in acid, then purple in neutral, and on to blue and green in alkali. Now the cranberry juice. And you can see here that this is pink in acid and in neutral, and then it goes a sort of greenish colour in alkali. Finally, we're going to make a universal indicator. Students often think that universal indicator is just some sort of magic super indicator. It is in fact simply a mixture of different single indicators. We take our empty bijou and add 10 drops of bromethymol blue, then 5 drops of methyl orange. And finally 5 drops of phenolphthalein. When you've added the phenolphthalein you can just use that pipette to stir it and add the drops. This time you can see you get a full range of colour changes from red right through to purple. You can use this technique of drops for any solutions that do not need heating or use solvents that might dissolve plastic. When you've finished, you just take a photograph of the results and then wipe it clean with a bit of kitchen towel.